Okay.
So I think it's Cheryl, actually. Cheryl, let's mute you because we're getting a lot of car noise. Is that better, Paul?
Yeah.
Well, I actually was hearing a bunch of stuff before you started talking. It was squeaking and squawking, but I'll mute.
Well, I don't think that's a very nice way to refer to the way my mom talks.
What? I didn't hear my name in that at all. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Cheryl, what are you talking about?
Fred, because it was when Fred was talking that I could hear it.
Oh, okay.
Where's Cheryl heading?
We're just heading into Alberta through the Crow's Nest Pass. Just a minute, I'll flip the camera around. Coming around the corner here. But anyways, yeah, we just left Kimberley, British Columbia, Cranbrook area, and we're heading towards Alberta. Gonna be home tomorrow.
Oh, what a beautiful drive you're on. Doesn't look like, is it raining? It doesn't look like it's raining.
Any chance those are forest fire smoke clouds? We lost her.
I think we lost Cheryl. You can see the bend she's going through. We're probably going to lose her a lot.
Yeah, it was a little rainy this past weekend, but they sure need it down here. They haven't had any.
There we go.
Anybody?
That's what I'm looking for. Cheryl, I'm sorry, you're cutting in and out. Well, I should announce that I did hit the start button just a minute ago, and so we are live on internet. This is the San Carlos Computer Club. I am Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions, and we meet every Tuesday at 10 Arizona Sonoran time to talk about the tech topics in the world and share our experiences and troubleshoot problems that each of us might be having, all technically based. Sit down, Paul. Just computer problems. I'm just kidding. But I have come a little light on topics, as Mom was describing. We've been in a big close down, so I haven't had much time to do research. I did bring a couple of things I found this morning that I've been kind of following. I thought you guys might find interesting. But as typical, I'm interested in what you're interested in. So has anybody brought any topics, any news, any troubleshooting they would like to do? This is a small group so far. It's just the four of us because Cheryl just lost her connection. And I can't tell if Paul's with us. Paul, blink if you're with us. There we go. Fred, how about you and your travels? Have you come up with any technical issues that you thought would be a good thing to share with our group?
Well, I'm on T-Mobile, and I can get on data in any port that I've been to, all the way from India, back around Australia, and all the points in between. I find that one works quite well.
And so you're not reliant on a Wi-Fi connection. You're doing this all through whatever cell network you touch?
That's correct.
That's really impressive. What equipment do you use?
Well, right now I'm on an iPod.
Or an iPhone?
On an iPad.
You're on a 5G or 4G iPad? Is that what you're saying?
The latest and greatest. I just bought it last year.
It's got to be a 5G iPad.
But normally I just do it, when I'm traveling, I do it on my phone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I you may have misunderstood. The phone, it is an iPhone that you're connecting all over with T-Mobile?
Well, it's either the phone or the iPad.
Okay.
Depending on where I am.
Hey,
know,
did you get your iPhone from T-Mobile, or did you buy it separate from your service?
Actually, I bought it from Costco.
Oh,
It's the SE too.
okay, the second generation SE. That's a great phone.
And I bought it for about $350.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about it is its price. But I love the size, and it still has a really decent camera on it.
Yeah.
The iPhone SE second generation. Is
They've
that?
come out with,
I think that came out in 2022.
I think you're right. I think they've come out with the SE3 now. But I
Like,
see no purpose in changing it.
No,
Well,
Apple's been doing their hardware very similar to the way they do their software. It's very iterative each year. So if you've got last year's, you don't really care about this year's. But if you've got one from 3 to 5 years ago, then there's major changes that have happened.
yeah, that's true. I also have an iPhone 8 that I keep as kind of a backup. Unfortunately, an ex-girlfriend has control of my phone number. So, in order for, she won't release it. So, in order for me to keep my phone number, I had to get another phone. And when I was in Europe, she cut me off for 3 days, and that didn't work well.
That sounds complicated beyond technical.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, don't let somebody else have control of your telephone.
Yes.
Thanks.
Good advice. Hi, Judy. I saw you snuck in with us. How are you doing? Oh,
I'm muted and I'm fine.
good. Did you bring any topics for today? Any new news? Any experiences?
No,
Nothing.
nothing. I've just been running errands this morning.
Are you excited that Apple's releasing new stuff next week? I bet Fred is.
I am really excited. It doesn't mean much to me, but I'm excited about it.
Well, it may affect the pricing on the shopping that you're thinking about doing.
Actually, I did call and I spoke to someone about that, and they said, more than likely, yes, your phone, your iPad will not be worth as much
10 minutes after the
release.
announcement.
Exactly. She didn't actually say that, but that's what I got from her her statement, that they can't really tell what's going to happen, but it could be that it does happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So does that affect whether you make the purchase decision sooner or not?
No.
Have you already done the purchase decision?
No.
No? So what happens if, like, 10 minutes after next week, your device is only worth $300? Would you still use it for a trade-in?
As long as it's 300. If it's less than that, no, I'll keep it.
So 300 is the cutoff mark.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny when you're decluttering places, it's really easy. Like, Mom and I just have collections of stuff that, that has value, and this last cleanup we did, it's like, it has value to someone else. Let's just get it out of here.
It's like I have my previous iPad, and I think I have the one before that as well, that I kept thinking, I'll do something with them, and they're just sitting there. So,
Cheryl, you had something you wanted to contribute. I saw your hand up for a moment.
I put it in the message thing because we keep losing contact.
Oh, okay. Let's see. What is the purpose of hacking, duplicating someone's profile, and sending friend requests to all friends? So you're talking about specifically the Facebook stuff, right? As far as you get messages from fake accounts that are using your friends' names as though you're not following them already.
Yeah. Bill's had it happen twice. I've had it happen. or they send out an announcement that you didn't send out, and then we're just wondering if you have any insight into what is their game, what do they hope to accomplish?
Well, yeah, there's an end game, which is to be able to address this audience of people that are unaware. So their end game is to have this list of people ready to be fed whatever they're going to feed. And that list may need to come together in a variety of different ways. When they send out they make these fake accounts, they're trying to get access to your account on that personal level as a friend. When you're a friend, there's certain permissions that you get from your account. Things like access to your friends, at least a list of that. And so what they do is they send out on these fake accounts friend requests, and then get access to all the information they can from your account based on what kind of permissions you've allowed your friends to have. With that, they have an inventory of accounts that have certain permissions, certain accesses. Like, say, maybe you've got something that no, I can't even come up with the example right now. But what I can say is that imagine if a nefarious actor had a list of accesses as friends, then they could put out something that would invoke you to do a thing. The best example of that, I think, are these quizzes that get passed around. Find out what Game of Thrones character you are. Things of that nature. Not so popular now, but you can remember what I'm talking about when there's like, what's your zodiac sign mean? All these kinds of things. And what you do by invoking one of those kinds of activities is you're giving that activity access to your permissions, whatever they may be, however you've got them set. And so that activity is not what we're talking about, because that activity typically is a smokescreen for something else that's going on. And so while you're in that activity, there may be compromisable things happening. You may inadvertently download something into your device, or you may be asked to go authenticate across some other service that looks legitimate to you, but because it came through that activity, there's actually a layer on top of it collecting information, if you follow what I mean. It's not one thing. It's the whole behavior that is the compromise. There isn't one thing to look out. The one thing to look out for is every time a friend asks for a friend request. Now you have so many friends, you don't remember whether you're friends with that person or not. Or you're like, I think I already have them as a friend. What you'd want to do, or you know them and they would never request you as a friend. These are the things that you need to be looking out for, because the end game, the payload that would be sent to you is unspecific.
So is the danger that they would then use some information? Like, where is the fear? What?
Yeah, the danger is that by knowing you, they can give you something that you would take action on by knowing you. It would be a very specific Cheryl thing. Like, what can I make up? Like, you're friends with Goodreads and they suggest a book for you. And you're like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that author had a new book out. And you click on it. And you start reading the synopsis of the book, but what you don't realize is that wasn't Goodreads. That was a bullshit account and they've sent you to Goodreads, but in the middle of the path to Goodreads, they've put up an invisible layer that's collecting your information. Or the invisible layer is downloading something into your device at that moment to collect information from other applications. See, that's the concern isn't the payload. The concern is the nullifying, the numbing of our behavior because we feel so comfortable with what we see in front of us. All of a sudden, we're not being careful because, oh, I trust that source. I always use that source, if you follow what I mean.
It's always something, I guess, nefarious like that. It's not just somebody wasting time. So
No.
you know. So what I tell people to do is to report it, to delete it, and then just kind of ignore it. Like, don't click on it, but you can click on a part of it, like the 3 dots or something, and report it and go on. But a lot of people say, well, I've changed my password and I've fixed it. And I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I don't know if you necessarily need to change your password because it's not that kind of compromise. But what everything you just mentioned is exactly the right behavior. Is to report it, ignore it. I like to report things at the highest level. This is malicious spam that's hurting people.
Yeah. I say that it's harassment or spam or whatever. And then I keep an eye on any of my online accounts and things like that to make sure that there's no transactions or things on my credit card.
What's really nefarious is that these things are being created and friend requests are going out all automatically. When you said, is it just somebody that's bored and seeing what they can get away with? There is the smallest percentage of that going on. But in this day and age, it's not just to see what I can get away with. It's I'm building a machine that is going to compromise hundreds of thousands of people, and I'm testing how I can do that by doing individuals. But the moment that information is collected on how to do this in an automatic process, immediately that automatic process is put into place. And thousands of accounts are getting hit in the same manner. And all they're doing is collecting compromisable people. And so you're right. You should report it. You should ignore it. You should block it. You should be very suspicious of it. There is no legitimate information coming out of it. I often think about it as something like here's a person standing in front of you, screaming, "I'm your best friend. Everything I say is true." And he just happens to look like your friend too. But it's not true. None of it's true. You know who your friend is.
Well, the one that they're using right now is, and our son-in-law just had it happen on his Facebook page, is it's from somebody, a made-up profile or something. It tags him in it, and it talks about somebody has passed away, and click here for more information, kind of thing. And it looks like there's been a death amongst our friends or family, and that you're supposed to see who it is. That's what happened to me. A message went out to all of my friends saying, I think you know this person and they've passed away. Like, wow. So it's really crappy because it upsets the family, it upsets people, and we've had enough deaths in our family in the last little while that, this just was not good. Anyway,
it's also a perfect example of social engineering. Because they have that topic right there, immediately you knee-jerk react, and you don't think that this is at the same level as every other compromise that's out. It doesn't matter if it's about death. Doesn't matter if it's about financial loss. Doesn't matter if it's about winning a car. All of it's bullshit, and it's all at the exact same level, and you need to deal with it with the same security mindset. I see your frustrated look. It's the world we're living in.
Well, it's frustrating, but it's also it's made some people that our only contact with them was through Facebook, and they've deleted their accounts. They've gone because it's just been too much. And I think that happens a lot, which is almost too bad, because I enjoy the social network, but I don't like this end of it.
Yeah, I think we're probably watching the demise of these social networks as we understand them. And Facebook has become this pot, this mess of stuff that you don't feel safe being in. You can find a lot of arguments. Twitter is very much the same way, especially since X. X is supposedly going to be turned into this like this Swiss Army knife of tools. The idea is that they would do communications and blogging and financial stuff, like the equivalent of like a PayPal through the app. They call them super apps, and we haven't spent a lot of time talking about super apps. They're much more popular in, for example, China. They have a super app that does everything, which is fine, because that makes it easier for their government to track everything you do. And since that's the kind of government it is, then nobody has a problem with that. Because they can't have a problem with that. Elon Musk is trying to put together a super app out of X, and from what I read and hear, it's probably just going to be more death nails in the application. It's just going through a downward spiral. What's happening on Facebook, what's happening in the Twitter space, it just feels like the way we understand social networking is changing right at this moment. And those same friends, you're just a moment away from saying, well, why don't you get on WhatsApp? Right? Because it's an encrypted group chat system that nobody can get into unless they're invited. And you can have these private conversations with hundreds of people. So I've watched it on Facebook. You probably have had some experience with that, Cheryl, where most of the activities that were happening on a page or in a discussion group have slowly kind of moved over to another platform to have those discussions. It's definitely happening in my life, where I'm seeing a lot more activities happening in like a WhatsApp group where everyone needs to be invited and that's considered secure, versus just doing a Facebook group that's made up of people that are or are not your followers or people that your friends list. The WhatsApp group is by definition a friends list. When you join one of those WhatsApp groups, I think that's really what we're going to see. I think we're going to see in the future, we're going to see a lot less of group interactions, which is what's going to bring down Facebook, because what's really working for Facebook is family pictures and social gatherings and groups. These like our group, for instance, is an example of a social group. And if somebody joined our computer club, if we allowed them into the group, it's a very good possibility that we only would casually know the person that authorized them into the group, and all of a sudden they're one of us. They can join all the stuff that we do, even though we haven't had any real vetting on who that person might be, even to the extent of knowing it was a bot. Fortunately, we have a small enough group and we're a tight-knit enough group that I think eventually we would sort out this person doesn't belong. But how long would this person or bot exist in our group, just gathering our conversations and the things we do, and right? And just ferreting it away for whatever kind of use it could have. It's where we're living. You know, it's funny because I would never have, if you went back 10 years ago, I would never have thought that the government should be in charge of some kind of town square. But after watching how Elon Musk is approaching that concept with Twitter, it almost feels like it makes sense for us to have some department in the government that's responsible for providing us a secure town square where we can all go yell at each other and share our opinions and gather together and show support for things in a kind of democratic societal way, because that's not happening in these social platforms as much as people would like. They are private companies, and they change and swing with whatever makes money, and they're being abused. So these two pressure points, I think, are getting people out of these social networks. All my opinion. I see Chester jumped in. Is he still with us, or did he? Oh yeah, Chester's here. Hi, Chester. Good morning. Judy, you want to add something?
I have a question about when I am downloading something on my iPad, I don't seem to have a choice of where it is saved. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So if I'm downloading a book, it's going to automatically go to the download folder or whatever you call it. And then I would move it into my books folder. Is that how that would work?
That sounds right, because you're
Okay.
not using iBook.
No, I'm not.
You're downloading like a PDF or something like that.
An EPUB, yes.
An EPUB. Okay, I can't say for certain that just by moving it into the books folder would make it available.
See, that's on my MacBook, I can choose where I want it to go, and it goes to my books file.
Yeah, and you're able to open it up on your Macintosh without a problem.
Well, I don't know. I move it to
the beauty
my
of doing it like that is you can synchronize it with your iPad after that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but when you're downloading it right from your iPad and it's not an iBook or a sync, I can't say. I've never had that experience. Maybe Fred has some experience with that. Fred, you got any insight? Are you still with us?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Well, if he hops back, if he jumps back in, because I know that he's had some experience. Oh, there.
I'm still here.
Hey. Have you done anything like that with your stuff?
No, basically what I've done is I download it from Amazon, and Amazon has its own program,
right?
Kindle, and I have no problems with that. Right,
but I don't use a Kindle. I use a Kobo.
Well, you can use the Kindle app on your iDevice.
But that's a Mobi. That's not an EPUB.
Right. But these are all different issues. Yeah. What Judy was talking about was downloading an EPUB on her iPad from the internet and then placing it in the books folder so it would appear under iBooks. Have you done anything?
Oh, no, not iBooks. It's in my books folder, and then I move it from that folder to my reading device, which is a Kobo.
Oh, I thought. Oh, so you're trying to go from your iPad to your e-reader?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I do it normally on my MacBook.
Right. I get it. You're trying to replace what you do on your MacBook with your iPad.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'll just give it a shot. So I did try and download a book. It did go to my downloads folder. And then I looked online to try and figure out how to choose where I want it to go. And that is not an option for me.
Yeah, well, what you can do is if you don't have it installed, Apple has a program called Files.
That's what I use, yeah.
Okay, and then there you could find the file and move it anywhere you want. But the issue is getting it into your device, getting it into the other device.
Exactly, and the problem normally is that I have to drag it over. So it's old-fashioned.
So your device, you connect to your Macintosh with a cable.
Exactly. So
it shows up in the Macintosh as a storage device, like a USB drive.
Exactly.
I wonder if you got a USB, one of those adapters from FireWire to USB, because your
I've
latest
got one
operating
of those,
system,
yes.
and you plug your other device, your e-reader. Wait, what'd you call it? A Kobe?
It's a KOBO, I believe.
KOBY is there, or KOBI?
KOBO.
Oh, Kobo.
No.
So yeah, I wonder if you were to plug that in using that adapter, if it would show up as a mass storage device in your iPad. If it did, then you would be able to see it in that files program.
Okay.
And my first thought would be, no, that's absolutely not going to work. But Apple has changed things in the last few generations, and so it's worth giving it a shot.
Yeah, I will see if I can look into that. I got the Kobo, KOBO, because I had a Nook before, and I was reading because I was going to replace the Nook, and the Kobo got a much better review than the Nook.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Of course, the Nook was from Barnes and Noble, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't even think, are they even making new versions of that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're done with that business.
I switched a couple of years ago to this new device, so just because it feels like a paperback in my hand in its little cover. So anyway, I will
really
check
cool.
out using the cable and see what happens. Thanks.
Yeah, just go into that files program and see if it appears as one of your destination sources.
Mm-hmm.
And then it should be as simple as dragging it over like on your Macintosh.
Right.
For the record, I don't think it's going to work, but I hope it works.
I don't know how I'm going to drag it on my iPad.
Well, yeah, actually drag in concept, because you're going to have to like probably tap and hold and choose copy and then go over to the other destination.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, however Files does it.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Hopefully that's helpful. You know
We'll
what would
see.
be helpful is knowing that it doesn't work.
In my thought process, it is not going to work. So it probably won't, just because I'm
wait, let's change all that, because first rule of helping people is to assume it's going to work.
I know.
Assume it's going to work.
Predisposed to think it probably won't.
I know. If we're predisposed to thinking it's not going to work, you're already 50% of the way there for it not working.
Exactly.
So I like to hedge my bets and just assume it's going to work and then be surprised when it doesn't. Well, have we got any other issues, questions, problems, tech support?
I did finish Who is Aaron Carter?
What is that?
I did finish the series on Facebook, on Netflix, Who is Aaron Carter?
Oh, Who is Aaron Carter? That's right.
That was I finished it. The ending was less than good, but it's all right.
What you were going to say, Judy? I was wondering what you were going to say about the ending.
Less than good.
Less than good. So you should watch. Wait, how many episodes is it? 8?
I think 6 or 8.
6?
8 maybe.
So you're saying watch 7?
Watch half of 8.
Watch half of 8.
Yeah. But I'm still watching Traitors.
Traitors, okay. Traitors, like
TRAITORS, like a traitor to your government.
Yeah, you had mentioned that last week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have brought 2 news articles I found. I've been following this. What was that? Two articles that I've been following this week and found this morning that I thought you might find interesting. One is kind of an update with the Huawei stuff. It's been in the news. This is a Bloomberg article that kind of brings you up to date, but Huawei has released a new phone almost covertly They have given no specs on it, and so Bloomberg had a tech company take apart the phone to see what was in it, and they discovered that the chip that they've designed in China is of the 7 nanometer size, which is very significant. That's something like a 7-year advance that they didn't think China had or would get because of the sanctions that the United States put on this company. Well, and China specifically. I don't know if you guys remember that, but during the Trump presidency, they put sanctions on China that limited their ability to use American technology, their chip design. Oh, look at that. We're on the 15-minute countdown until we have to open another meeting. And so it is with great surprise that they see such advancements going on in China, so supposedly without using U.S. techno. Well, basically, either getting around the sanctions or coming up with their own way to do it. But they're on a path to doing their own chip engineering and designing, meaning they don't need American technology as we go into the future, which was the last bastion of work that we had to offer such a large economy. In some ways, these sanctions may have just signaled I don't know, a downgrade in what we're able to offer the open market. Chester, I was hoping you would have a comment on this. Go ahead.
I don't have a comment on that, but I read something of interest yesterday in the Wall Street Journal, which I thought I would comment on.
Okay.
And it's our great government at work again. You can remember that Congress, back during the days of the epidemic, that they passed a large bill that would give everybody money and provide businesses with money, and billions of dollars were handed out. Well, there's one part of that program that is continuing, and it's of great concern to everybody. And that's the one that where if you kept your employees during the pandemic, then, and you suffered some losses or lost some of your profit, then you were entitled to compensation for having kept those employees on the payroll. And that compensation average is $26,000 per employee. And this has become a very big issue now. And it is still ongoing, and it is surpassing the amounts that Congress thought it would cost by something like 400% so far. And it's still going.
Wait, are you saying that businesses are still qualifying for?
Yes, they qualify by getting a tax refund for those years that were involved. And some of that, of course, can result in net operating loss carryback.
Wait, Chester, but just to clarify, when you say those years, you're not talking about they're able to qualify for it like this year.
When first they qualify for a refund for, let's say, the year 2021, if that was the year that it was passed. Maybe it was 2020, I can't recall.
Okay.
Probably 2020 was a more profitable year than 2021. But they can apply for a refund for those years, and then if they have a net operating loss as a result of it, then they can go back and apply in prior years to that. And if it's not eaten up then, they can get a carryover into future years. So
so you're saying that it's not like they're applying for New Year's, but there's this cascading effect that happens.
Right. It's a tax credit, tax refund.
That flows through their books, causing each sequential year to have a different value, causing more refund.
Yes. And the issue is hundreds of billions of dollars. And they've already identified approximately 200 billion that's fraud. and they don't have enough people in the government to go back and analyze and audit the people that are receiving the money. And then there's a group of 1,000 professionals out there that are earning a fee for helping people get all these refunds. So it's quite a big thing, and it's going to get bigger, and you'll hear about it in the future.
Well, and then that coupled with the taxes raising, from what I understand, for everybody over the next several years.
No, the only thing I can recall on that end is that the current tax reduction in the Trump administration expires, I believe, at the end of next year. And if that's not renewed by Congress, then all taxes will go up. But this is a provision in one of the pandemic bills that's gotten so far out of hand that nobody in Congress or in the government expected it to be this big a problem, but it is a major problem for the country.
That's really interesting. And then it's the people that have the knowledge, the money, the incentive, and the resources to track down how to keep that flowing to them.
Well, let's say, for example, you had 200 employees and you get $26,000 per employee. That's quite a big tax credit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You had 1,000 employees and you get $26,000 per employee. That's an even bigger tax credit. So it's a massive issue. I just thought I'd bring this shine to your day today.
Thank you, yeah. I'm just making a note about it.
It's something that you may want to read on. You'll hear more about it as we go forward.
Well, what else do we got going on? The only
Hey, Scott.
Yeah.
There's an article that says, this is in the U.S. News. The U.S. says stolen COVID relief funds seized so far top $1.4 billion.
So this is aside from Chester's, unless we're
this
considering
is,
Chester's
as of
stolen.
the 23rd of August, the Justice Department said then that it has seized over $1.4 billion in COVID relief funds that criminals have stolen and charged over 3,000 defendants.
Yeah.
But that's to comment on that. That was also mentioned in the article that out of 200 billion, they've collected 1.4.
Right.
Well, and
so
Chester, your point is this other money is legally acquired. It's just a screwed up system.
No, not necessarily legally. It is subject to an audit to determine that you actually lost profits or had losses during the pandemic.
Sure. But if we were to assume they actually lost profits and they did take on employees, then still the system that was put in place is screwed up because it's perpetuating itself. It's
at least four times the size of what Congress expected.
Yeah, I mean these are really well, and actually you bring that in, maybe they're frauding as well. You've got three different issues. You've got blatant stealing, you've got a broken system, and then you've got people using fraud to take advantage of that broken system.
And professionals working towards both the fraud and the legitimate claims.
Yeah, I always think of those. I mean, like tax preparers. Their whole job is to figure out how to save you as much money, not to give it to the government. So they go through and they look for every possibility for you not to pay.
And a significant number of these professionals are CPAs.
Yeah. And I can't hold that against them because that's their job, is to figure out
except they're not certifying, so they aren't checking to ensure that you actually had a loss.
Oh, right. I mean, is that something that should be their responsibility?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it isn't. The
responsibility is to the to the employer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like they're supposed to be disclosing legal information.
But
correct?
they are actually hiring a CPA, so isn't it actually the CPA's responsibility to do due diligence about their client?
No, it isn't, because
Really?
the CPA is not certifying their financial statements. The CPA is, and others that are involved in this are merely pointing it out to their clients.
Oh,
And it's up to the client then to determine if he qualifies. But the CPA, or I'll just call it the professionals that are working on this, collect a fee like 20 to 25% of the refund for
Right.
bringing it to the attention of the employer.
I mean, that kind of stuff happens all the time I mean, people specialize in government grants. They specialize in, so it makes sense that people like CPAs, not because they're CPAs, but because they're those kinds of people who get into that kind of business.
If financially oriented and they have the contacts.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really fascinating.
Well, I predict you'll be reading more about it.
Yeah.
I've got.
Well, thank you, Chester. Thanks for contributing to the light morning we're having. Here's a light thing that I thought you guys would enjoy, and the only other topic I've showed up with. How much time? We got 4 minutes until we need to switch over to another meeting. Do you guys want to just do it now? I could probably fill the 4 meetings and be interrupted. 4 minutes and be interrupted. I'm going to start up that meeting. Why don't we just jump over to the second meeting? Anybody not have the meeting code? I put a link in our chat so you can bring up the document. The meeting code's at the top. Who are we missing? We're missing. Oh, I can't hear. Be right back. There we go.
Oh, I am unmuted. We're just traveling in southern BC into Alberta.
Well, that was fairly a smooth transition. I think everybody's here. Are we missing anybody? Fred, Chester,
beautiful.
Paul.
I felt a little bump.
Just down there is Montana, just over that mountain.
All right. We're not missing anybody, right? We got it. Everybody's caught up with us?
So I just got a notice that United Airlines has grounded all flights nationwide.
Holy crap, really?
Yes.
Wow. I've got
United Airlines issues nationwide ground stop for all flights.
Ground stop.
What airline?
Computer
United.
issue. Thank you for bringing a relevant topic.
Why?
They say it's a
don't know.
computer issue. I'm bringing it up on Google News right now. ABC News is reporting has issued a nationwide ground stop due to a computer issue. Experiencing a system-wide technical issue is what it's called, in quotes. Experiencing a system-wide technology issue. The Federal Aviation... Oh, go ahead.
Our son works for a huge corporation, Suncor, oil and gas industry in Fort McMurray. And about a month ago, all of their computer communications, all of their network was taken hostage, and they had to pay the ransom and everything to get it all back up and going.
Oh, wow. All they've said is it's a technology issue. That's a really weird way to say it, too. All these news outlets are saying technology issue. Just doesn't, it sounds very lowbrow to me. Technology
Maybe
issue.
the planes are flying in circles.
Right. Well, when you say technology issue, that could be anything. I mean, it could be that the director's iPhone fell in the toilet and he's not able to answer all his. I mean, you just don't know what they mean by. Here's what the Daily Mail is quoting: equipment outage, which is probably an assumption. CNN is doing equipment outage.
Maybe the conveyor belts have quit.
You're talking about for your luggage?
Yeah, maybe they all quit. They're tired of hauling all that weight.
Right.
It says it's that all flights be held until 2 p.m. Eastern. So it's coming up to 2 p.m. Eastern pretty quick here.
This is, quoted from their spokesperson. We are experiencing a system-wide technology issue and are holding all aircraft at their departure airports. Flights that are already airborne are continuing to their destination as planned. We're currently investigating and will share more information as it becomes available. That's right. That's from the United Airlines representative. Well, that is very interesting.
That's the famous Russian cook.
Good. How about you?
Come on in.
Well, Rufina looking for you next door.
Oh, Rufina's knocking on my door right now.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
Hold on a second. I'll be back. Hello?
Didn't that same thing happen to Southwest just last month?
Meeting right now, but what we need to start with.
I remember something just happened to Southwest.
Yeah, Bill says Southwest was shut down for a day.
Okay. All right.
So that's what this may be also.
Over here? Yeah, the Russian room in the back. Yeah. All right. She's got her marching orders. Well, that is fascinating. I look forward to finding out.
We're not meeting next week.
Well, right now I'm tentatively planning it. I think I may have Cheryl host it because I'll be in the office.
I've got it on my calendar, and we should be home.
Good. Yeah, so I will be in the office in Phoenix, but they've always been really conscientious about letting me do my thing. So I'll continue to maintain the meeting, but I'm going to let Cheryl be in charge of it.
Cheryl, aren't you going to Las Vegas?
We don't leave till October 19th to Vegas. Got another month.
I'm putting CNN's article in our lineup here, just so it's on our document, in case anybody's looking for it. And as I was starting to say, the only other article that I brought with me, which is pretty light but interesting, is that Google or Microsoft has released documentation making it clear that their plan is to remove WordPad from Windows. Have you guys heard about this? You're familiar with WordPad? Apparently, it is 40 years in Windows. It started out as Microsoft Write in Windows 3.1 and changed its name to WordPad when Windows 95 came out. This is the word processor that was forever given away for free with the Windows operating system, kind of mimicking the way Apple did things. They at the time, I remember because I was right there, they couldn't release a graphic-based operating system because nobody had graphic-based software. So you could run Windows, but you couldn't run it to run anything because everything was DOS-based. And so when they released Windows, I think it was Windows 3. Oh, now that I say that, I think actually I read somewhere it was Windows version 1. They released Notepad and Microsoft Write, Notepad being a text editor, which you would use to edit configuration files and things of that nature, and Write, which you would use as a word processor, a graphics-based word processor. Then when Windows 95 came out, it was released as WordPad with some more extensive features. And a lot of people at the time started using it as their word processor, but very quickly moved on to something else because it did not include spell checking or grammar checking, things of that nature, which you expect from a modern word processor. So it has slowly gotten stale, more and more stale, and hardly gets used. Most people that need a word processor have already moved on to something like Microsoft Word. So this will be the first time, yeah, there it is at the end of the article. That's what I was looking for to verify I read this correctly. WordPad was introduced in 95. Every release since Windows going forward all the way back to version 1 included a program, like Windows Write, as I said. So this has been around since 1985. And now if you go to Microsoft's pages, they recommend Microsoft Word if you are looking for a rich text editor. I just thought you guys might have some touchstone to that article just because most of us are familiar with WordPad. It changed a little bit in Windows 7. In Windows 7, it adopted that ribbon that you would see in the Office suite, that new ribbon, and it's been that ribbon ever since. In fact, on my screen here, you can see a picture of what it looks like right now. And what they've been doing with Windows 11 is they've been taking and updating all the little apps that came with Windows since the beginning. A lot of them are just cosmetic changes, but you'll find them in things like the voice recorder, the calculator, things of that nature. Even Notepad has gotten some updates recently to the way it looks and the way it presents information. WordPad is the only one that so far they're announcing to get rid of. And I don't know if you guys remember, but we talked about it a few years ago. Yeah, quite a few years ago, because when they announced Windows 10, they announced they were getting rid of Paint. I don't know if you remember the Microsoft Paint program that's been around just about as long. And they said, no, we're not doing Paint. We're doing 3D Paint. It's a completely different application. You're going to do your Paint stuff in that. And there was such a backlash from people that use Paint that they had to backpedal on their plans. And instead of getting rid of Paint, they released an updated version of Paint. And so we've had Paint going forward ever since. And consequently, it is also included in Windows 11.
So Bill and I want to know if they've gotten rid of Clip It.
Clip It? What is
the
Clip
little
It?
paper clip that was
Oh,
always...
yeah,
The most
Clippy.
annoying paper clip in the
Clippy.
world.
You're thinking of Clippy that came with Office 97.
It was a Clippy.
Clippy was his name.
There you go.
I'm sure Clippy's going to come back at some point to spite us with the latest version of Chat GPT.
You got it. You got that right.
Well, we have. Oh, Chester's got his hand up. What do you got, Chester?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that back in the mid to early 1980s, the favorite program I used was called Symphony. And it had a word program and a spreadsheet built into it. That was one of the very first.
You know, we started this meeting where I was talking about super apps, and we forget that that was all desktop things too back in the day. For productivity was a super app, and you would get something like a Microsoft Works, which would have, or I think, wasn't Symphony a Lotus product?
No, Lotus had, well, it could be. I thought it was Windows, but it could be Lotus. But anyway.
Well, I think it ran on Windows.
Yeah, because Lotus had 1, 2, 3. And I think you're right. I think it was Symphony. And you had to use DOS. There was no screen in front of you.
Yeah, I'm doing a Google search now, and it was IBM Lotus Symphony. IBM bought Lotus, and Symphony. Yeah, that was the DOS version of their word processor.
It included a spreadsheet also.
Yeah, like a super app, like I was just describing. You've got all these different functions for productivity built into one app.
Yep, I loved it.
I loved Lotus Notes. Nobody loved Lotus Notes. I loved Lotus Notes from a developer's standpoint because it all came down to the same data structure. And so if you could imagine it, you could lay it out because nothing needed to change with the data structure. I was a big user of Lotus Notes back in the day. Well, I think we've exhausted all my topics. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add to today's meeting? How about some recommendations? Is anybody watching, reading, using, viewing, reviewing, anything out there that the rest of us would appreciate knowing about? Now is the time to share.
I'm in year seven of 8 for Suits.
For Suits, all right. Still doing Suits. I have not watched one episode of that show.
I just wanted to see how they got rid of the Duchess of whatever.
You're waiting to see her taken off the show.
Yeah, but maybe she leaves because the show ended or something like that. I'll find out though in 1.5 years worth.
1.5 seasons. Well, I put some stuff on. One of the things that I just finished watching was Dark Winds. I can't remember if we talked about this before, but this is Tony Hillerman. It's a TV series on, I've forgotten what I think it's on HBO Max. I've been watching on Streamio. The excellent, if you ever read any Tony Hillerman, you really appreciate it. Really well done. Talks about it's a mystery on Navajo land. And the main character is the chief of police. Well, the two main characters are natives that are the chief of police, the Navajo chief of police, and an FBI agent. And it's just a very interesting step into a mystery, a culture, and law enforcement during the early 1970s on Navajo land. Good show. Has 2 seasons. I was sad to see the second season end. I just binged the whole thing.
You know that Tony Hillerman has passed away and his daughter is now writing using the same characters?
I did not know that, Fred. That's very interesting. Have you read any of her works?
I've read 3 or 4 of them, and she does a good job. She is still doing Lee Porn and
Jim Chi.
Yeah. And
I was disappointed that they didn't ask Lou Diamond Phillips to play a part in this movie since they're in this TV show. I thought he would be a great Lee Porn to a younger Jim Chi, kind of like passing the torch over.
Well, I haven't watched the show yet, so
And I
I'm
say
going,
that, and after finishing the show, I was very happy with the actor that played Lee Porn. I thought he did a great job.
It's really good, but I don't think it's on HBO because I don't have HBO.
Oh, what are you watching it on?
I don't know. I watched it quite a while ago.
Let me see. Maybe it's one of those that's getting licensed on different services at this point.
Maybe.
Let's see. Lee Porn. Did you watch both seasons? Because it's a new season.
I don't think I've started the new season yet. And maybe I'll have to look to see because I usually only watch on Prime or Netflix.
Oh, look at that. It is on Prime. I could have watched it on
Okay.
Prime. It is on it's on HBO Max. It's on Max. It's not called HBO anymore, is it? It's called
Right.
Max. Yeah, it's bundled with Hulu and it's on Apple TV. But you can stream it for free on Prime. Geez, I could have just watched it on Prime.
Great. I need something new to start, so yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's also on Roku TV with ads.
Huh.
So
I don't have a Roku TV. I only have a Roku box, and I don't get Roku TV stuff on the box.
you should. If
Really?
you go to Live TV, you should get hundreds of channels.
Huh. I'll
Yeah,
have to look at that.
We use a Roku stick on one of our TVs in the bed and breakfast, and that's exactly what they get is hundreds of channels. That
I'll have
Roku
to look.
offering to me still is the best free TV offering that's going on right now.
The thing that has been kind of annoying for me is I've not been able to get the US Open anywhere because I don't have ESPN Plus.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, well, that's what they're selling. They're selling that kind of stuff. Football too.
$99.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's Disney. So I also wanted to recommend an old John Carpenter movie, They Live from 1988. My friends and I just went to go watch a showing of it on the big screen. It's Cinemark. They do these periods of time where they're doing like classic movies, and this is what we just saw. And that movie holds up. It's completely relevant to this day and age. It's very entertaining. It's tight. It's short. I think it's like an hour and a half. It's not a very long movie. It's really well done. It's probably one of John Carpenter's best. It gets incorrectly grouped into horror genre. There isn't anything really horror about it. It's more conspiratorial, and it's a kind of an allegory for government control and population control. Very interesting and funny. And it's funny, but it's not intended to be funny, but it's still funny. They Live. I saw Paul give a grin. You've seen this movie, haven't you, Paul?
I was recalling when we took our kids to drive-in theater, and this is probably in the late 70s, and it was a twin feature, and the kid suitable movie was first, and the idea was your kids were going to go to sleep, but they weren't going to watch the second movie. But my kids, and I'm saying that they were like from 8 to 2. My kids watched the second movie where people's heads exploded.
Okay.
And yeah, I like watching some of those old sci-fis, but my favorite, of course, is Paul.
Yeah, Paul is a funny, and your namesake.
Yeah.
Well, this is a movie. The premise is that aliens have been taking over the kind of the world, and we're blind to it, and they've been using mass marketing and consumerism to hide that they've been lulling the populace into control. And these unsuspecting guys with their own stories come across some sunglasses that allow them to see through the facade. And so it's all just this very quick adventure on learning the truth and trying to do something about it. They live. Anybody else have any recommendations for this meeting, or I'm going to call it to a close? Nothing. I heard Suits. I heard Who is Aaron Carter? They Live in Dark Winds. Any apps, any websites, any events, any books? Nothing. Well, I think we've reached the end of our meeting. I got to go back to cleaning up bed and breakfast stuff. Hey, there's one of our
Bye.
people. Bye-bye. See you guys. Adios. Until next Tuesday, tech on. There it is.
Have a good one.
Thank you, Fred. You too. There, we did it again. San Carlos Computer Club. Join us Tuesdays at 10 on YouTube or in this meeting. Just join our group. Go to scclub.org to find more information. And if you're looking for computer help anywhere on the internet, you can contact me, Scott, at internationalcs.net. Until next Tuesday, tech on.